So today you might be wondering, why do I have a IMAX projector behind me? Well, this is the IMAX Mark I projector. This is actually the projector I grew up with watching IMAX and OmniMax movies, which are now of course called IMAX Dome. And today I thought that because there's a lot of interest in Oppenheimer, I thought that because we do so much film and television at Skychron, I wanted to show you, because there's only 30 theaters in the entire world that are actually still functioning in the 1570 millimeter classic IMAX format. I happen to be close to and have a friend at one of those IMAX theaters. We are at the IMAX Kramer Theatre at the Saskatchewan Science Centre here in Regina, Canada, which is the birthplace of the IMAX system here in Canada. And I'm going to meet with Trevor Evans, the head projectionist, and we're going to go all through everything that you wanted to know and stuff you didn't know that you wanted to know at the Science Centre today. So we're just going to go right into it.
If you lose air, you're shredding film.
So basically there's three different types of IMAX projection. The big one is 15 perf, which is the highest quality. That's the 70 millimeter that everybody's going on about in Oppenheimer. And you should see it that way if you can, because there's a huge difference. There's only 30 theaters in the whole world that can project this way, including here in Regina. Its resolution is about 18,000 pixels high. Just to give you an idea of how big that is, Disney actually tried to have Pixar render Toy Story for a re-release at one point, and it actually blew up their computer. It was too much at the time to render to IMAX. That's right, IMAX's resolution blew up Pixar's computers, so that's saying something. The second kind is digital. It still looks great, but the image resolution is a lot smaller, about 4K, so roughly a quarter of 70mm IMAX. Normal digital IMAX has a xenon bulb like normal movie theaters have, just bigger. The third kind is also digital, but it uses lasers instead, so the picture is a lot brighter. In Regina, we have 70mm and laser. Trevor's going to show us digital first, and then show us 15 perf, which is of course the 70mm system.
Fire on the main power to each projector. And then you have to wait 20 seconds. Now I can go over and do the actual power up.
So right now, Trevor's actually setting up the laser IMAX system, the left and the right projector for 3D. And when he's done with this, then we're going to move on to the 70mm projector.
So we've got two projectors. Is that for 3D or is it also for brightness?
This is for 3D. They do work in concert with each other. Either one can take over in a 2D print, but it's usually just for the 3D.
So your left and right.
Yeah. These are the projectors. Lasers are in the bottom. The actual projectors are in the top. They came in two sections for each one. We had to build a cradle in order to get them up into the booth. And these are chillers to cool the lasers. And there are two chillers for each machine. And now it starts getting noisy. And these resistors. IMAX SR 70mm or 1570 rolling loop projector.
Get in closer.
The film goes through at the rate of the usual 24 frames per second, 335 feet per minute, or a little over 5.5 feet per second. If things go wrong, they go wrong good, hard, and fast.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of how out of it I am, I'm still used to the big green guy. I haven't actually had the chance to see one of these ones.
You mean like the one downstairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big old classic.
Yeah. That was the last time I had been in a projection booth and I had worked with the format at all.
Okay. Now I'm just going to go and turn off the lights here.
Yeah.
And a little bit later, we'll go and start the compressor up. These things the film machines are real hogs. The rolling loop, in order to maintain the actual loop, what they did was they introduced air jets to cushion the film in order to maintain the loop. If you lose air, you're shredding film.
Yep.
So, and lo and behold, Oppenheimer. They say it's 600 pounds. With the Platter, I'm guessing closer to 750 pounds of film.
This is huge.
They had to make extensions.
Extend it. Yeah.
They're a 3D printed extension, and it just gives that extra little bit. If you didn't, you'd never be able to get it on, or else film would be falling off on the floor.
Like, what if, because I mean, I still remember even when it was like in Gatineau, they would lose sleep of anything that was basically clearing an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then the runtime for Oppenheimer is, what is it, like 2 hours, 47 minutes or something like that?
3 hours
Oh my.
and 3 hours and 3 hours and 30 seconds.
That's crazy. They would have had to, like, 'cause the normal system would not probably be able to handle this. Like the normal platter, you have to build something.
Yeah. I mean, with the old Mark 1s and Mark 2s, you could only have about an hour of film.
Yeah.
And that's what we used to have here. And of course, we went with QTs.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing right now is creating a donut, or getting the film ready for this afternoon's showing. And this, a lot of it is scrap media material that came in on the film that was cut off.
Yeah.
And the same with the tail end. And soon I will be getting there.
And I think people should note just how large the film frame is, something you typically don't get to see. Some of us are spoiled, we get to see this more often than not.
That is one frame of film, part of the 7-second countdown. It's 15 perforations, 70 millimeters wide. And as I say, what I'm doing right now is getting it ready.
When there's two showings, he'll typically kind of set them up more or less at around the same time if there's a showing in both formats in relatively close succession.
The audio or the HD tag already set up. What I'm doing now is I'm booting up the system, and so now I actually have power to the QTRU, or quick turn reel unit, and that's what I'm going to be doing next. So you can follow along. Hopefully, I don't fumble things.
We always
I've already done that. There were with the old Mark 1 reel unit, running through, people were standing out, looking in, and next thing you know, we dropped the phone.
That's what I'm used to. It's so much smaller now, which is great.
I find at that point the best thing to do is don't get embarrassed, just take a bow. And remember threading up a 3D show, and we have a lot of school groups come in.
Yeah.
And I was watching young girls that, oh, they must have been 12, 13 or something. And they're standing there just totally in awe. And I'm just giving it great gumboots. Finished it, stood there, smiled, gave my thumb.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Now my granddaughters just go, oh, it's just a game.
Well, you try it. See how you do it.
If you think you
want
can
to
do
try
any better.
1570 per pair? I'll try that.
I'll go a little bit slower normally.
I also like to point out the beauty and elegance of just, running it through a system like this too. I think that's something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily really get to see either.
Exactly. And, knowing what is right and what's wrong, knowing what you've done right or what you've done wrong.
I remember the first time I was threading, not IMAX, I was threading an Airy SR, and I had like 2 hours of sleep. And I basically put the leader in and I put it in the gate wrong because I was so freaking tired. And then basically I went through the leader and turned the thing on. We went to start and I went and just shredded all the film. I ended up didn't do any damage. I was able to basically open it up and save the thing, but I ended up burning through like $150 or like $100 reel of like high speed Fuji film, and I was just kicking myself.
Right.
They're all numbered, so I had to use the rest of the laundry because they all come from they all come from Fuji or Kodak or whatever, and you have to do them in order, otherwise you have to screw.
Yeah.
I'll never complain about threading a sewing machine again.
She says that now.
Oh, shoot. There we are. And that happens when it tightens itself on itself.
They've actually streamlined it from the Mark 1. It looks like they've kind of you've got a little bit more play. You don't have to do quite so much.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Mind you, when we went full 3D, I missed my Mark 1. We had carpet in here and it was nice and clean. But it is what it is.
Synchronized,
Oh yeah, I've had that problem before.
synchronizing IMAX 3D 1570. If you ever see that, respect it, and here's why.
Okay, what we do is we start with either one machine or the other. You load it up. You get it going on the QT, get everything set up. Then you fire up the machines into the run position. And always make sure it's the same print. We're not going to go there. And anybody who's worked in a projection room has ever told me they've never made a mistake, I'll call them on the table for that. We have just done a major renovation, and I'm slowly getting things assembled. So in the back, we have the air compressor. And of course it's an industrial size. And then we have rectifiers back here. It's really quite a mess. I've been slowly trying to get things done. And this is the rectifier that, because we're using a,
What does that do?
rectifies AC to DC electricity. Of course, it's going into a xenon bulb.
You'll want to get real close for this sound.
And this is a xenon light bulb.
The centerpiece.
It's in an explosion-proof container. When they go, especially up there at high temperature, it sounds like an artillery piece going on.
Yeah.
It's really loud.
It's like an HMI on steroids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
That could get people squirrely when they're watching Oppenheimer, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Here, you want a free skin graft? Here you go. I had a few near misses with HMIs dropping. There's a reason there was a grate over it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this is one area that don't show too much of because it's really a mess. But it's
important. It's important. Like that's a reason.
Yeah.
So you got to have it bright enough that you can see it, and it's an awfully big screen. So
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, we use the smaller lamps, the 7,000 watt. Winnipeg, when Rick was running his, it was a GT,
yeah,
3D GT, which was running 15,000 watt xenon lamps, and they had two of them.
I think those are the ones they had in Gatineau too when they were still
Probably.
IMAX equipped. Because those were the ones. They were about the size, if I remember rightly, they're about almost the size of a. They were almost the size of a basketball, or at least a volleyball. Maybe a little smaller.
A
little
but
small, like
yeah,
maybe
they're
about
still-
like this,
They're still big.
like a handball or a broom ball, maybe.
And they're worth about $6,500.
Yeah.
These are about $2,000. Hello. How are you doing? Oh, that's okay. It doesn't bother me at all. Hey, grab your seat while you can. So,
As you can see, we have an incredibly small screen here. Oh no, I think I might need a magnifying glass.
it's actually a little smaller than the original screen. Not by much. I still think it's measures out 52 by 72, 72 at the bottom, and then it cantilevers in at the top.
The IMAX Digital Scheduler can also help get you out of a jam.
What I've done is I've enabled the schedule, or the scheduler. I can view a daily or weekly schedule, and this has to be a manual input. So what I've got is, like for today, Australia's Great Wild North, and then Oppenheimer, we do line up the feature as well. We had a problem the other day, and we were able to go right into digital. So it was, it's great having that option available to us. So what we do is we run the pre-show. The show stays loaded in, so this way all we have to do is hit play, and I can advance the show to wherever we have a problem with the film. And I've got it loaded in right through till Friday of next week. Now we have KDM, or a key
Yeah.
that will allow us the license for people who don't understand. So it will show as red, so we can't show it, but the KDM has already been loaded in, and next Friday it will clear it, and then as we get additional KDMs, etc. Now, back to my and of course we can edit a show playlist. It will say how many days remaining on the actual production, and of course, if something goes wrong and you have to do it manually, you can stop, set it up manually, etc.
Hit subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget our day job. We are a professional production company that services a number of Fortune 500 companies. Make sure to call Skycron. We serve all of North America for live streaming and production.